discussion of pool guard salaries for 2008 pool year. Adam, would you like to address that?
Certainly. Just 1 second. Let me catch up. We had a request just roughly not 2 weeks ago after we passed the new expectations for what we would be charging at the pool and what our salaries would be out at the pool. Some of the guards are actually here this evening to talk to the council. They've requested that we take into consideration an increase in the salaries that they currently are being paid. The scale for our current salaried guards starts at $6.15 for first-year guards and scales up from there, ranging all the way up to $6.70 for someone who would qualify as a fifth-year guard, I believe it is. We also have a scenario. What we did is we did some research. You'll see in your memo, we did some comparisons with comparable pools in the region, one being Coon Rapids, to see what they currently charge for their guards, another one being Glidden, and Missouri Valley. We felt that all three of those were of equivalent size and for as far as how our pool is used and how it is operated. The agreement this year did not include a salary increase outside of from a 1 year to a 2 year or a 2 year to a 3 year change in their salaries. The base is $6.15. They moved to $6.30 on their second year, and then it moves roughly 10 to 15 cents a step from there. I believe they wanted to have an opportunity to kind of speak to the council and maybe address any questions that you might have for them. One thing I should note as well is each lifeguard takes a certification process. The process is provided by Mr. Fisher. It currently costs $80, and we reimburse the cost of receiving that certification every year.
Do they do that on their own time or on the...
They do that on their own time.
What is the age of the first-year guard?
Traditionally, and maybe they can speak to it a little bit better than we can, but traditionally 16 years old would be the first age of the guard. I don't know of any precedent before where we've hired anybody under the age of 16. Traditionally, that would require, in most states, that would require you to get a special...
A 5-year guard would be basically 21?
A 5-year guard could be 21 years old, yes. I believe we have one 4-year guard on the staff this year.
Josh would be the military Josh.
Yeah. Which is currently set at $6.60, I believe, an hour, based on the scale.
We'll welcome you to address the council.
We got a little bit of information for each council member to reference. We did some research of our own with various pools and looking at the budget that has been approved in the past. Also our lifeguarding statistics, our own lifeguarding statistics.
Josh, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. I'm Josh Streep. I've been working at the pool as a full-time guard for 4 years now.
Sean Marcheski. Been working there 2 years full-time.
Brent Granville. I've been working for 2 years full-time.
Thank you.
Before we actually discuss what the options would be within the budget, I mean, if there's any mobility or not as to our wages, I thought it might be important to go through the first page and the second page of the information I just presented to you. The 2007, or if you see in the first part, money apportioned for pool salaries, the lifeguards are apportioned $30,000 a year according to the July 1st to June 30th budget. I believe the budget for 2008 to 2009 remained the same. I didn't have that information. I looked up 2007 to 2008 online.
Actually, it went up slightly.
Did it go up slightly?
Yes.
Okay. That's not taken into account in any of the statistics afterwards then. The regular season of the pool is about 94 days, considering that we open on May 26th usually. This year we did open 2 days later than that on the 28th, which was a Wednesday. So that is what we're basing some of these statistics on, is 92 days instead of 94, and that doesn't take into account any days that say we didn't open at the beginning of the year, which, as you could guess by the rain that we've had recently, there's been a few of those. Under total cost, we looked up how many hours we worked during the 2007 pool season. The lifeguards worked a total of 3,718 hours. We then applied an hourly wage per hour, so across the board, if every guard made the same, and you have those statistics there in front of you, $6.8 per hour would be $25,282.40 if that's what every guard made, which is I think that's 10 cents over the maximum that a guard can even make at the pool. And we did that all the way up to $8. I don't think any of you read the statistics. And that's $29,744, which, according to the calculation of $30,000 set aside for guard wages, even if every guard would make $8 an hour, it's still clearly within the budget. I contacted several cities around the area. I did not contact the ones I think that Adam did, or the city office did here. We talked to Ida Grove, Odebolt, Rockwell City, Shaler, Wall Lake. If you guys have any questions, just want to clarify with that WSI, there's a little bit of difference there with the Red Cross training. That's just another part of the licensing saying that you can give swim lessons, pretty much that you're trained to teach people water safety and swim lessons, which our pool we already do privately here, and that's kind of covered through our training already. The cost associated with Ellis & Associates, licensing I think was brought up, and or not licensing but training. We do have to train every year with Ellis & Associates in both lifeguarding and first aid and emergency CPR. With the Red Cross, we would only need to do our lifeguard training every 3 years. If it would come to the point where we say, okay, if we want to increase our wages, then maybe the city wouldn't pay for our training. If that would come up as a potential mitigation issue, then we look at, well, we are what we're charged by Ellis for audits. We're audited 3 times a year, and that just tells us how we're doing, if we're doing our jobs, what we're supposed to be, and if we're all up to date in our emergency response scenarios. And with the Red Cross, they only require lifeguard training every 3 years, and the CPR first aid training would be every year still. That I don't know. I don't have the figures for what Red Cross charges for training, but I would guess that there's a little bit of a difference instead of $80 a year, since it's training every 3 years.
Actually, I believe it was $129 a year.
Is it $129
Or
a year?
$129 every 3 years.
Every 3 years, okay. So that would be a difference, 240 minus 129 would be your difference over a 3-year time period. Assuming that we could have, I don't know if Mike's sorry for not being here, he had a prior commitment, but when I talked with him about the Red Cross, he didn't know if it was possible that a paramedic, one of our paramedics that was licensed, if they're licensed to instruct in the first aid, emergency CPR, and if they would be able to fulfill that requirement instead of having to actually bring someone in every year. I don't know what we would have to look into that.
Whether or not they're qualified to actually, certified to actually.
And that's just a possibility to look at when we're looking at the numbers for even in the future if it doesn't get, if we don't get to that point this year. The last portion is our rescue statistics. I did some research online from the Aquatic Safety Group, which they do pool statistics basically out of Penn State University, and the average settlement in pool drowning lawsuits has, I remember talking to Mike last year, and the last time that Ellis & Associates had given him statistics, it was between $1 and $3 million. As you can see, it's jumped significantly to $29 to $35 million on average. The Sac Aquatic Center, we average about 10 saves a year, and it ranges anywhere from 7 to 19 saves in the last 4 years.